Hello and welcome to Blank Plate, a podcast for Swifties with an appetite. I'm Sara, and I used to be a little kid with glasses in a twin-size bed. My co-host, Laura, is a mess, but she's the mess that she wanted because she's currently on maternity leave. So today I'm here with a special guest to chat about all things Taylor Swift. Say hello to my friend Katie, who is an events manager, a certified Swiftie, and a mom to two cute cats, Poppy and Clementine. Hey, Katie.
Yay. Hi.
Hey, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So you and I know each other because you're practically family because you're dating my cousin.
Soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're like my cousin-in-law, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always fun when a family member starts dating someone cool because then you're like, yes.
Yes. And when you start dating someone and they have cool family.
Right. Yeah, that's the best. So yeah, I was obviously super excited when I met you to find out that you're a huge Swiftie. And I mean, you put me to shame because like you've been to like way more shows and stuff, I think. But yeah, but let's get into it. Like, what is your Swiftie origin story? How did it start? What made you a Swiftie? What's it been like?
It's so funny because I remember being in my front yard at my parents' house, and I was listening to Tim McGraw on the radio, and I was like, I love this girl. And my mom's friend happened to come by that night, and she's like, oh, she's opening for Rascal Flatts, the girl that sings that at Hershey, in Hershey this summer.
Oh.
Either it was coming up or had just happened. And she's like, oh, yeah, we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I need to be there. I did not go, but
yeah,
like, that was it. I was just like, yeah, I'm in.
Wow. So you were pretty young then because you're a little younger than me, right? But not by much.
No, it must have, it was like 2000, I don't know.
I guess six.
Yeah.
Must have been.
Yeah.
And you're what, a 1991 baby?
92.
Oh, okay.
January 3rd. So by 3 days.
Almost.
Yeah.
That's right. I always forget that my cousin who you're dating, in my mind, he's like so much younger than me. He's only a year and a half younger than me. So now that we're in our like mid 30s, I'm like, okay, we're the same age.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
I know.
Like when we were kids, I was like, I'm older than Brian.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's older than me. I'm like, oh my God, you're old, but he's 4 months older than me. So.
Right. Yeah.
It's the same.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So that's where it started. And then it just like, you were just forever a Swiftie?
Yeah. My mom always loved going to concerts. And so she was always on board to take me and my sister to concerts. So I remember we went, I feel like the first time I saw her was the Fearless tour when I was in like, I must have been in high school. But I remember going to that. I think we were it was at the time, it was the Wachovia Center in Philly. And it was like the top concourse in the top row. Like my back was to concrete.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, this is the best day of my life. I think Kelly Pickler was opening. I think. Oh my God. It was so fun. Yeah. And so then I just never stopped because then my mom loved her and my sister loved her. So we just always went together until I was old enough to just like do it myself and be insane and go as much as I could. Yeah.
So did you see her live from every era?
Mm-hmm.
Every one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And okay, you have to tell us you met her.
I did.
We have to tell us all about it.
So, which is still the craziest thing that's ever happened to me, truly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember, but when 1989 came out, she did Sweepstakes, which was like, there was a code. Let me see if I can find the photo quick. There was a code inside the cover of the CD of 1989.
Okay.
And you entered it online, obviously, And so I remember I was visiting my friend Emily in Kentucky. She went to the University of Kentucky. And so I was visiting her and we went to Target by her apartment and bought the CD. And we like immediately went home and entered it. And then I'm reading the fine print and it says like, you know, no purchase necessary. Like you don't have to buy the CD to get a code. If you go to like whatever website, you can get a code without having to purchase the CD. And I was like, well, I'm going to do that too. Like, why would I not do both?
Right.
So I think when you did that, you could do it up to 10 times, if I remember correctly. So I did it 10 times. and so I had entered a code 11 times. And a couple of months later, this was in like May. And a couple of months later, I was with my friend Emily again. We were in Nashville. I remember it so clearly. We were walking down Broadway in Nashville and we literally made a pact, like shook hands. And we're like, if either of us wins, we're taking the other person. And then I got this voicemail in November that I thought was fake. Or no, I'm sorry. It was an email in November that I thought was fake. That was like, you've won the grand prize of the Swift Stakes. That's what the subject line said.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, what's the grand prize? Because like, obviously I knew meeting her was the grand prize, but like, it was not clocking to me that grand prize meant like
you get to meet her,
the top prize. So I'm just like, okay, well, what did I win?
Insane.
Like, and I'm reading it and I'm like, do I get to meet, like, I'm misunderstanding. I walked downstairs. I showed my mom and I was like, what does this say? She's like, it says you're meeting Taylor Swift. And I was like, that can't be true.
Right.
I must have read it like 30 times because it was 2 tickets to a show of your choice. And to meet her, you had to give like 3 like preferences, I guess, for like what show you wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's like, why else would they be asking all these questions? Like, you're gonna, like, you have tickets. Well, by this point, I already had tickets to the tour because they had already, this was like, they went on sale like the summer before the 1989 tour. So I knew I already had tickets with my sister. She's like, why would they be asking you all this if you weren't going? And I'm like, okay. So I call Emily. I'm like, she still has the voicemail. I'm hysterical.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the whole voicemail is just me exhaling because I'm just like, can't even get the words out. And I was like, I think we're meeting Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So I like do the whole thing. I reply. I had to get all this stuff. I had to sign all these papers and get them all notarized. I had to sign an NDA. Like, so much stuff. I had to like,
oh my gosh.
I remember I had to go with my mom to her office building because they had a notary there. And it took like an hour to go through all of this stuff that I had. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, I think I picked MetLife Stadium as my first, which is what I got. And so, yeah, they're like, yeah, you have 2 tickets and 2 meet and greet passes and pick them up at will call. And I was like, this still is not true.
Yeah.
Like, this can't be happening. But it was. And
yeah.
The day of was so crazy. It was July 10th, 2015. And it was so hot. It was so ungodly hot that day. And I don't know if you've ever been to MetLife Stadium, but it is like steel and concrete in the middle of steel and concrete. Like, there is no shade. There's no trees. There's no green.
Yeah.
So it was like, we had to get there, I think at like, maybe we had to pick up our stuff at like 1:00 in the afternoon. We got our tickets and we got these bright yellow papers that like had explicit instructions about like where to go, at what time, whatever. So we get there and I remember like beefing with Taylor in my head this day because it was so hot and we were like standing in direct sunlight.
Oh my God.
And we hadn't eaten all day, obviously. And we didn't have water. I was like getting a migraine from like standing in the sun. I did not care. So we're standing, we're like in this, they're like meet in section, whatever. And we go to section whatever, and we're waiting and waiting and waiting for like an hour. And then they move us down onto the like field part.
Mm-hmm.
And they put us in a line, and we're standing in this line, and Taylor Swift's dad walks by, which we were like, oh my God, that's so cool. I think that was the first time we ever like saw him.
Yeah.
And then even more exciting, I'm standing there and I look to my left, the barefoot Contessa.
Was she
right
also
outside of New
Taylor?
York. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was just like the VIP,
Yeah.
whatever people.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's the barefoot Contessa. That's Ina Garten right there. I was so excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care about Taylor anymore. I have to meet the barefoot Contessa. But she was like behind a gate and I couldn't get to her. I was so excited. So anyway, yeah. So we finally go back. I have a pounding migraine that I'm like not even aware of because I was so excited. It was the most surreal thing. I'm like, this was at the time when she still did the like club things after the concert.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what it was called then. Like when she would pull people from the crowd and bring them back afterward.
For the meet and greets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the 1989 one was called, but that's where it was. It was like in that room. So we're waiting in line, sweating, like disgusting, next to like a velvet couch. And she's like in the corner behind this like draping. So we could hear her, but we couldn't see her. Yeah. And I still am like, there's no way she's there. Like, there's no way this is about to happen.
Yeah.
And the guy pulls back the curtain for us to go in. And she was like 20 feet tall was the first thing. I was like, she is so tall.
Yeah.
And she was wearing these really tall shoes. And I remember she had so much makeup on. Not in a bad way. I was just shocked at like how much makeup she was wearing.
It's like stage makeup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to find a photo. I was wearing like a wait, can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was wearing like a flower crown.
Uh-huh.
And she grabs my face like this and she's like, "You look like a fairy." And I was like, "Thank you so much."
Yeah.
And she was so sweet. She was talking to us like we were her best friends and she had known us her whole life.
Yeah.
The outfit she was wearing, my friend Emily was like, "Oh my God, I love your outfit." She's like, "Thanks. I literally just bought it an hour ago, like in the city." And we were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what I said to her. Truly, she hugged us and she was like, "Thank you so much for coming. Like, have a great time." And she signed some like thing for us. I was like in shock. The guy pulls the thing for us to leave and I walk out and I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm walking like down the concourse and I just start like crying. I'm just like, that was so insane. I was just like so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And we're walking out and this woman is walking towards me and I was like kind of overwhelmed and I like didn't notice who it was. But the last second I like looked over at her and I was like, "Was that Lena Dunham?" To my friend Emily. I was like, "Was that Lena Dunham?" And she's like, "No." And I turn around to look at this girl again and she must have heard me because she turned and looked at me and winked at me. It was Lena Dunham. And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, what's going on here?
Oh my God.
So then Lena Dunham obviously was the person she brought out that night. She brought out Lena Dunham because this was like peak.
Oh, didn't Lena Dunham just talk about this and how she felt so out of place? Like not like Taylor's fault, but like, wasn't she with like a bunch of, like Taylor and these like model looking people? And she was just like, what am I doing here?
Well, I actually did not hear her say that, but I just listened to Lena's book. And, which was amazing. And I was waiting for her to talk about it and she didn't. But maybe she said it in an interview or something. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
But she brought her out because this was like peak Lena and Jack. And like Jack was on 1989, whatever. Mm-hmm. She brought Lena out and she brought out the women's soccer team randomly that night.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and also, oh my God, what's the guy that sings? Oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
Who, Ed Sheeran?
No. The guy that sings, oh my God. He sings Starboy. What's that song about a Starboy?
Wait. Wait. I can almost hear that song. The Weeknd?
Yes, The Weeknd. She brought out The Weeknd.
Yes.
I don't know.
Starboy featuring Daft Punk
Sure. Don't know.
by The Weeknd.
She was like hyping up this person she's going to bring out. And we're like, oh my God, who's it going to be? And she's like, The Weeknd. And we were like, what?
So I guess that was like before he was like big.
Yes. I guess. He came out for one song. I don't even remember what song it was, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. Well, that's
but then this is where my friend Emily and I were like, we need to not complain about this out loud. But the seats they gave us for the free thing were directly behind like an obstruction, something that was tall and could not see a thing. And we were like, I don't think we're allowed to complain about that. So we just like scooted over. Like, it was fine, obviously, but we're like, we are so rude. We were like, Taylor, I can't see it. These free tickets you gave me.
Oh my God. That's amazing. I love that you met her.
It was really something.
Yeah. Well, and then you went, how many times did you go to the Eras tour?
I went to the Eras tour twice, I think.
I remember I was so jealous because weren't you at MetLife when she did Maroon and Getaway Car with Jack?
Yes.
I remember Brian was like, oh yeah, Katie was there last night. I was like, no, she wasn't. I was like, no, she got Maroon and Getaway Car.
I know.
And he was like, whoa.
Okay. He's like, I don't know what that means, but.
Right.
So I went to MetLife night 1 and I went to Pittsburgh also night 1. Pittsburgh, we got like tickets when they went on sale, like face value, like normal.
Yeah.
The way you're supposed to.
Right.
And then MetLife, we didn't even have tickets for until that day.
Yeah.
Because this was right after people started just going and sitting in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it looked really fun. And I was like, I want to go I don't need a ticket. We'll just go and sit in the parking lot. So my friend and I drove up. We're literally like, if you've ever driven to New York City, it's like terrifying.
Yeah.
As you're approaching, because it's just like there's like 7 lanes and everyone's driving so fast. So I'm like fighting for my life trying to get into the city or, up towards the city. And we did not have tickets yet. And we're like, it's fine. And then people started posting on Twitter and they're like, they're checking tickets at the parking lot. And if you don't have them, they're sending you away.
Oh, wow.
And we had driven like 3 hours, 2.5 hours to get there. And I was like, well, then we have to get tickets because I don't want to. So we bought them. We're like, okay, well, the price will go down as we get closer. They did not. They did not go down. Not enough to make it.
Right.
Not enough to justify how much I paid for them.
Yeah.
So eventually we're like, whatever, like we're about to pull in, like we have to get them. So we did. And no one ever checked our tickets. So,
oh my gosh.
But it was fine because we went. So it was fine. But
that was a good one to be at.
Yeah. It was so fun.
Well, and then wasn't it like a friend of yours whose kid got the hat one of the nights in Philly?
Yeah.
The 22 hat?
Yeah, my friend Kelly. Was it in Philly? I don't remember.
Yeah, because I think it was either the night I was there or the night after I was there. Because I was there night 1.
Okay. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure you told me like, oh yeah, my friend's kid got the hat.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't remember. I actually forgot that happened. Yeah, she texted us like in all caps, just like incoherent, just like screaming.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And sent the photo, which was so freaking cute. Yeah, her son.
Yeah.
He was probably like, maybe he was like 6-ish.
Aw.
It was so cute.
So cute.
He and his mom both love her. It was so cute.
Did you see the video of when Taylor and Travis were leaving? I forget which event, where she
turns
grabbed his shoulder like a velociraptor and turned his whole body because she saw a child who wanted to say hi to him.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that clip because everyone's like, Taylor's like, we don't ignore the babies,
right?
The children. We always stop for the children.
Yes. So cute.
Yeah, that's sweet. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's an awesome Swiftie origin story. So let's get into these fun questions we have, starting with your Sun, Moon, and Rising albums.
Oh my God.
And you're pretty into astrology, right?
Yes. And I actually never looked into what that would be or like thought about it. But then
Yeah.
when I did, I was like, oh, that's 100% true. Okay. So I'm Capricorn. Wait, what am I? Capricorn, Pisces, Capricorn. So I'm double.
Oh, you're a double Cap. I'm a
Yeah.
Capricorn moon. So where is your Capricorn?
Sun and rising.
Oh,
Pisces moon.
okay. Cool. That's kind of
So
like me and Laura. Well, Laura, I think, is a Aries sun and Aries rising.
mm,
And then she's an Aries sun, Aries moon, one of those. And then I'm an Aries rising.
oh,
So I
so you've
think
got all three
basically
covered.
whenever you have like one of your big three overlapping with someone else, it usually means like you get each other. on,
Which
like,
makes sense for
yeah.
us.
Yeah. Double Cap actually makes a lot of sense for you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So my sun is Evermore.
Oh, okay.
It said grounded, resilient, quietly powerful, whatever that means.
Okay.
That's a Capricorn sun.
Yeah.
So Evermore to me made sense. I tried to do this with my own brain and then I like Googled how to like figure it out.
Mhm.
And I picked Evermore and so did this. So
Okay, cool.
reflective, mature, a little guarded, but deeply thoughtful.
Okay.
True. Pisces moon, folklore,
Okay.
which I did not pick, but I do think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then Capricorn rising, reputation,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
made sense to me because everyone's like, oh, I thought you were a huge bitch. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
So
All right.
that made sense to me.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Moving into heavy hitters. What is your favorite album?
Reputation.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
What about your least favorite album?
Showgirl. Should I like not count that one?
No, you can count that one.
Okay. Aside from that, I genuinely don't really have one. It's like just
Yeah.
a different level of liking them all. But yeah, Showgirl is my least favorite.
Okay. We'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Okay.
Top 5 songs.
Well, my favorite song is Ivy.
Okay.
I feel like I was like really thinking about this because I feel like it changes so much. Like even just like what season it is outside.
Yeah.
Changes my favorite song. But I feel like Ivy, Maroon, Jump Then Fall has always been a favorite.
Deep cut.
Yeah. Hang on, I looked it up. I mean, I wrote it down. Ivy, Jump Then Fall, Getaway Car, Maroon, Guilty as Sin, which was a surprising because I didn't love Tortured Poets actually when it came out. But I do love that song.
Yeah. That song's really good.
Yeah. I think
it's going to go down as like a Taylor classic.
I agree. Yeah. Because I feel like I'm like one of the people that like I don't like anything right away. It almost always has to like grow on me.
Yeah.
Which I used to think was horrible. And then I heard a lot of people say that they feel the same way because it's just like new.
Yeah.
And so when Tortured Poets came out, I was like, what are we doing here? But I do love it now. And that has been one of my favorites consistently since I started to like listen to it more and like really get into it.
Nice. Are there any songs that you hate?
Okay, there's only one song that I genuinely is a skip for me every time, which is The Last Time. Actually, from Red.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's kind of a skip for me too.
I think that it's like something about the vocals in it is like fingernails on a chalkboard. Okay. And don't you know that it was one of my surprise songs in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that'll happen.
She knew.
She knew.
Yeah.
She's like, this bitch complained about her seats.
I was going to say.
I gave her for free.
She's like, this is for complaining about the seats I gave you for free. She like, that night, she like came out. And I think the light, like the spotlight or like something about the lighting in the stadium at that time was red. And I was like,
Mhm.
I just know she's about to play this song. And she did.
Yeah. I feel like when it's on, like if I'm playing the vinyl or something, look, okay, this song like kind of goes hard, but I think it's partially like too long for me.
I think it's too long, and something about their harmonizing is not it for me.
Yeah.
Like maybe if it was just her without him or him without her, I would like it
Yeah.
more. But I just can't get down with their voices together. I don't know,
Yeah.
something about it.
That makes sense to me. I feel you on that. Is there a Taylor song that feels uniquely personal to you, like she wrote it about your life?
So the thing about me and Taylor is that we both had years long, deeply romanticized situationships with bad men. So any song she wrote about Matty Healy, unfortunately, I can deeply, deeply relate to.
Yeah.
Which is has been so great because it makes me feel like, okay, I'm not insane. Like,
Yeah.
this is a thing that happens. And
Yeah.
all of these really deep, complex feelings I had at the time, she vocalized. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so relatable. I think
Mhm.
it's good that I have it now and not when I was going through it,
Yeah.
because then it would have surely sent me into a spiral. But
Laura has
now,
talked about the exact same thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
So,
I think that is so true that the fact that she wrote about that situation the way that she did, and so many people relate to it, we're like,
mhm,
oh, this even happens to Taylor Swift.
yes.
Like,
Mhm.
I'm not crazy,
Yeah.
like I had
Yep.
feelings like this too. And it's like, oh man, it's
Yeah.
like
And
everyone has a Matty Healy.
yes. And the way that she, like, clearly, it was so, like, she thought about it for years. Obviously, she was like, had this thing that she
Yeah.
just couldn't shake about him for years. And it
Right.
almost like she put him on this pedestal
Hmm.
and like romanticized the whole situation. And then was actually with him and was like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Like falling in love with the potential of what something could be instead of what's actually in front of you,
Yes,
which is
exactly.
why situationships can end up hitting so hard because, like,
Mhm.
you had this vision of what it would be and then it
Yep.
gets taken away from you. You're like, well, I never got to find out
Right.
if that's what it would be. And
Exactly.
usually the answer is it's not going to
It's
be like
not.
that because that's
Save
not real.
yourself. It's not
Save
real.
yourself. Yeah. Okay. So back to Showgirl.
Yeah.
It's your least favorite album.
Yeah.
Let's hear your honest thoughts on Showgirl.
First of all, like, okay, this is a hot take. Well, it's probably not that hot, but I just feel like it came out way too quick after Tortured Poets. Like, I feel like we didn't even get to like fully be immersed in that before we're teasing the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like the way the Swifties are really going to come for me. I didn't like the way that Travis was so involved with it
Oh, okay.
because it just felt like we've spent an entire career talking about like her as a person and like she hates like being associated by her relationships or whatever, and then it was like she just like put herself squarely into that. Do you know what I mean with
Mm-hmm.
him?
Do you mean like with announcing it on his podcast, like
Yeah.
specifically?
Yeah, and just like I don't even like I love them together. I love their relationship or what I know of their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um I just hated the way that it was like it felt like she's like, "Okay, everything I just said to you less than a year ago with this
Mm-hmm.
other record, never mind that. We're moving on now." And I'm just like, "Wait a minute. Like
Yeah.
two things can coexist." You know what I mean?
Right.
So I already had a weird feeling about it before it even came out. And then just at the most basic level, like, yeah, I just feel like the songwriting wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like Father Figure. I think that's the only one I like have on a playlist.
Okay.
Maybe Ophelia, The Fate of Ophelia might be on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, the songwriting's not for me. It didn't obviously, like, she's in love. Good for her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that she shouldn't have made it. It just isn't for me.
Yeah. Do you think that this album will click for you in the future?
Maybe. I think it's hard because I thought it would when it came out
Mm-hmm.
because I was in the same stage in life that she was,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
post Matty Healy,
Right.
like happy, whatever.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, I don't know. I think that her, like her approach, or like, what's the word? Like her perspective on her relationship and the way that she wrote about it is just not the way that I can relate to, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I just want a best friend who I think is hot. I'm just like, that's so cringe. Like, that's just not for me.
Yeah.
Brian is my best friend and I do think he's hot, but like, I would never say that like
Yeah.
that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just,
I think it's funny how like you take that as like cringe, and I just think it's funny, but it's
yeah,
like we all interact with it differently. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if I'm just like more, not that you're not open minded, but I feel like, especially with Taylor, I'm like, what we got? Like,
totally.
and
Right.
it's weird because I don't, well, first of all, I've discovered it takes me 5 years to figure out where an album lands for me
Yeah.
in the rankings. Um, I think like overall as an album, I really enjoy it as a complete piece compared to
Hmm.
other albums. But I have no idea yet where the individual songs will land in my ranking of all of
Yeah,
her songs, if that
totally.
makes sense.
Yes.
Um, do you do you in general prefer her kind of slower, darker stuff compared to like her glittery
Yes.
gel pen songs?
Yes. Which is what I was going to
Okay.
say is like I'm a like lyrics person,
Yeah.
even outside of her, just like in general,
Mhm.
that's what I like. And so even just like pop music in general isn't always for me because I just am like I want the
Mm.
writing.
Mhm.
And so like Evermore and Folklore and like Reputation, like I think that's why I like those so much.
Yeah.
But also like truly, I probably listened to it 5 times all the way through
Right.
because I just was like, I can't do it anymore. So
Yeah.
I probably should listen. It's probably time I listen
Yeah.
again and see if I've changed my mind. I'll follow back up.
Okay. Follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying though, because like with Tortured Poets, well, first of all, we had 31 tracks, but I feel like if I was doing a long drive, I'd be like, okay, let's put this on. I can
Hmm.
skip the ones I want to skip and still have like an hour and a half of
Yeah.
music. But
Yes.
also like as I'm listening and singing along, I'm also like, wait, what does she mean by that? Like, like
Yes.
it kind of like engages your brain in a certain way. And that's definitely probably my favorite version of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And even though I love this album, I very rarely am like, oh, I'm going to put this album on and just play it through in the car. Unless I'm
Yeah.
in the mood for like, I just want to like poppy album that I'm just going to like sing along to and kind of vibe out in the car.
Yes.
But like if I'm going for a night drive, I'm not putting on Showgirl.
Right. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make me think the way the other ones do. That was like a good way to put it. Like, I don't,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like with almost every other album, I hear her say something. And even now, years later, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, that's like, I never heard that before.
Yeah.
Like that part didn't like click for me before. And now it is.
Yeah.
And with this one, it's just like, not in a negative way, but like, it's just kind of like surface level. Like there's not a
Yeah.
whole lot of thinking,
Yeah.
which good for her. It's just not,
Right.
it's not my vibe.
And I think honestly, it kind of makes sense. Like coming after Tortured Poets, I kind of get the vibe from her that she was like, I need to word vomit this out and then basically never think about it again.
Exactly. Which
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. So that makes sense. Like coming off of that and the fact that she was so mentally and physically exhausted from tour, but she was like,
Right.
I kind of need something else to like fire up my brain.
Yeah.
But she's not like writing these sad love poems in her spare time because of everything she's going through that she's then like
Right.
turning into songs. She's like, ooh, let's hang out with Max Martin and Shellback and like make a bop, like
Right.
it. And she even said it was like a different goal for this album
Right.
compared to Tortured Poets.
And I think part of it too was, for the longest time, 1989 was my favorite album.
Mm-hmm.
And with Max Martin and Shellback. And so I was like, oh, this is going to be that again. Like, that's perfect. So I feel like my expectations maybe were like off or like too high.
Too high.
But yeah, I feel like people are like, oh, she's changing. Like, I'm not mad at her for making this album. I'm so happy for her. It's just a skip for me.
Right.
She's allowed one.
Right.
This is it.
She's allowed one. Do you have any other Swiftie hot takes?
I don't really think I do. I am like, okay. Over the last like year, I feel like I wish she would say more things about political issues. But having said that, I also am like one of those people that like she probably can do no wrong in my eyes, just because I feel like she's my friend. My parasocial relationship with her.
So
right. I mean, she is my friend. But like my parasocial relationship with her just makes me just be like, no, that's my friend. Like, we don't talk about her like that. You know what I mean? So like, even though I wish she would do things differently, and like, I still am just like, no, that's my girl. Actually, I do have a hot take. Okay. Which is, I wish that she would stop putting out 17 different versions of every album. I think,
like all the vinyl variants?
Yes. I think that's so annoying. Because people are going to buy them. Like, it's a cash grab. That's annoying. But that's it. That's not even about her. That's about her record label.
Right. Well, and the crazy thing is, though, she doesn't even do it as much as other people.
I know. Just like when she does it, I'm like, stop doing that.
Yeah. But you don't have to buy them. I know. It's only crazy people like me that buy them.
I know. But there's some people that buy like 7 of each.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, not even like when Showgirl came out and there was the 4 different ones. That makes sense to me. But then there's like this remix and this song remix and this and this and this. Girl. Relax.
Oh, you mean like even the remixes?
Yeah. It's because it's like they're all on a different vinyl. Here's the purple one. Here's the stop.
Well, wait. Oh, she was doing the remixes on CDs, I think. I forgot.
Yeah, however she's releasing all those different things, like, stop doing that. I like the vinyl variants in the original release. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, chill.
It does make me wonder, like, is she doing... Well, I'm sure I don't know. I don't know how much, like weight UMG really has with her. I feel like she's in charge.
That's the thing too. It's like, I want to be like, oh, that's not her making the decision, but even if it wasn't, she surely could be like, hey, we're not doing that anymore.
But that's why I wonder, like, if it is really up to her, like, is she doing it just for those people who love to collect those things? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there's like an argument there for that.
On the opposite end, yeah.
Right. So I don't know. But
I'm also not a person that collects things like that. So maybe she's like, this isn't for you.
Right.
Stop.
Right. Exactly. And that's why I feel like whenever this argument comes up, people are like, okay, well then don't buy them. Like, no one's making you.
And I don't.
She's not making anybody buy them. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think though, with like the remixes and all that stuff, I do think a lot of it comes down to her trying to hit certain numbers, and like as the music landscape has changed, you have to hit those numbers in different ways. And I think that's like the sale of those CDs and like 7-inch singles and stuff, like, actually add into how well that song does. And if she's trying to hit a number 1, multiple times from this album. And in that case, I'm like, girl, do what you got to do. Like,
yeah.
I don't think we would like fault a man for trying to be the best, basically, is what I'm saying.
Totally.
So if she's like hate the or not
game, not the player.
exactly.
Yeah.
The game, not the player.
Right. And I think that like all of that complaint mostly is like deeply rooted in the fact that I hate when she does things that people get mad at her about, because I'm like, don't be mad at my friend.
Then you're like, now I gotta go to bat for her and defend her.
Yeah. So I'm like, if you just stop doing it,
I feel that.
That's my friend. Don't talk about her like that.
Well, and back to what you said about like politics and stuff, I definitely used to feel that way more, but I it didn't do a complete 180 because I was already headed there. But after the Eras tour and like the attempted terrorist attack, and then like, the little kids who were stabbed in England and stuff, like that really, like after that, it seems so obvious to me that it's not safe for her. Not just for her, but the safety of her fans, and especially while she was on tour.
Mm-hmm.
If she becomes a target, now everyone at her show is a target.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this current political landscape, like
she wouldn't risk
it's
that.
not smart for her to speak out. Like, as much as I would love to see my favorite artists like say things that I think are important, I don't actually think it's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and I'm satisfied with her showing us through her actions, like what she believes in and being an example. And she does endorse a political candidate in the general election, which like she does not have to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's tough. I don't know, but
yeah. I mean, I do agree with what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like, it's kind of a double-edged sword, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think she's definitely learned that over the years too.
Mm-hmm.
But also like, I might have opinions about like Israel and Palestine, but like I don't feel educated enough to speak on it with authority in any way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she probably feels the same way. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, this isn't her job. So why should we expect our pop stars to know everything about everything and put out these perfectly eloquent statements? Like I think it's hard to draw the line of like how much you do and how much you don't. And I think she's kind of figured out a balance for herself.
Yeah.
And, you're never going to please everybody. But
totally. Yeah. And, if she does start saying things, then people are mad at what she says and how she says it. So,
or she didn't say it well enough.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, look at what happened with like the stuff during the Lover era when she's like trying to be an ally, and then they're like, she's using them for clout, and like, you just can't win. You can't win.
Totally.
So,
yeah.
Can I tell you my Swiftie hot take? Because I think you might have an opinion.
Please. Yes.
I think that 1989 Taylor's version is a superior product to the original.
Really?
I do. I think that every song that needed to be improved was improved. And then, of course, you have the vault tracks. But then every song that I loved, I still love as much as the original.
I will say I noticed the biggest difference between those two than any other that had a Taylor's version. Like, because to me, Fearless was so similar in a good way.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is exactly what it should be. The exact same thing, just hers. 1989 was the one that I noticed. And also, it wasn't like huge differences. Like, I'm sure the average person would be like, these are the same, but just like tiny little things. I do agree. I prefer Taylor's version of 1989. But I never really thought about it. Also, is that a hot take?
I think so. Like, some people are really mad about how Style sounds on Taylor's version.
See, I like it.
I like it. I think I don't know if that's the thing. I don't necessarily prefer the other one. I love them both. I can hear a difference, but I love them both. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's so interesting. I do think I prefer the Taylor's version. Yeah, because the others to me, it doesn't really make a difference. I'm trying to think like.
I think like some of the songs that were skips for me before were like Clean and This Love and You Were in Love. And now they're some of my favorites. Like I think Clean was drastically improved.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I do prefer this one. I just like the, like, not even the vocals, but just like the production of it I prefer.
Mm-hmm.
But not enough that I would have like thought to say that. Like obviously you feel strongly about it. I like that.
Yeah. I might think that it's a hot take too, because I know my friend Rebecca is like hardcore 1989 original is like way superior. But a year ago when Taylor got her music back, I was listening to the original 1989 a lot. I was like, this one does go hard. Like I do love the originals for some of those little like quirks in her voice and the tone and stuff.
I was so obsessed with that record when it came out. And like the what does she call them? The voice memos at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I like had them like I listened to them like they were songs.
Yeah.
Like I had them memorized.
Yeah.
That album is like so nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Is there an underrated song that you would defend with your life? I feel like I need you to defend Jump Then Fall because that's a skip for me.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that it could be. I learned how to play guitar, and that was one of the first songs I ever learned how to play.
Okay, that's cute.
I took guitar lessons when I was in maybe I was in 9th grade.
Do you still play?
I can. I don't.
Okay.
I had a guitar. I got a guitar for Christmas that year, and it was like the Adam Levine guitar made for Target.
What?
I know. And I loved it. And I used it. Like, I think I left it at my dad's house when we moved here. So, like, I had it a long time.
Okay.
But it wasn't that great quality. And, like, I still remember how to play. But when I was learning, I would go home and, like, print out the chords to, like, every single Taylor Swift song from ultimateguitar.com or whatever.
Oh, nice.
And I had them in a binder separated by, like, page dividers. It was, like, really serious.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was the first one, not chord progression, like the way that the strumming pattern.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Was like different or like, it was like harder for me. So I played it constantly because I was like trying to get it down.
Yeah.
I just love it. I think it's so cute. I think it's so like, it's such a like adolescent like way to think about love. Like I just imagine her like writing it about like Joe Jonas or whatever, like when they were young. Yeah. I don't know. I just love it. It's a classic.
Yeah. That's cute. I'll have to re-listen to it. Maybe it'll grow on me.
I think because originally I don't think it was like a released track, was it? Until it was a vault track.
Let me check. Wait, it might have been on like the deluxe version.
It was on the deluxe version.
Deluxe.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Fearless Platinum Edition.
Yeah, because the original track list ended with Change, which is track 13, and then this is track 14.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just, I guess that's the one that I would defend. Yeah.
That's cute. Yeah, I've never heard someone like loving that song until
really.
So yeah. Yeah. I don't know. If there are any other Jump Then Fall lovers out there, let us know.
Please defend me. The part that says, I realize your laugh is the best sound I have ever heard.
That is
the first time I heard that, I was like, that is so romantic.
No, that's cute.
It was so cute.
Yeah. What song do you wish would have been added to the Eras Tour set list?
Ivy.
Well, when she did that with Aaron as a surprise song, right? Didn't she mess up the words?
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes, I remember that she did it, and I was like, this is my nightmare that I'm not there.
That
It's like
one
the one
in
song I wanted
Right
to
Where
hear.
You Left Me, I think she said something like, this is why I shouldn't write songs with like this many words or something.
Right. Yeah. I love that song so much. I
love Ivy too.
I just love the concept of like, I just think her songwriting was at her peak in that song. It's so, so good.
What do you think that song is about?
I think that it's about like, I don't want to say like unrequited love, but like, I do think it's about like, okay, you're a house of stone.
Mm-hmm.
The ivy's going to grow whether you want it to or not. Right. Like
Okay.
you can't control it. So to me, it was always just like, I have no control over the way that I feel for you. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just happening. And I always really liked that because again, when that song came out, I could relate to it in my Matty Healy era.
Right.
And so I think that's probably why I liked it to begin with, because I was like, oh, that feels like my house of stone, your ivy grows. Like I was like, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Do you think somebody's dead in the song?
No. Is that a thing? Hang on.
Yeah.
I gotta look at the words.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where I land. Laura and I need to do that song and really dive into it. But some people think that the narrator is dead and their house of stone, where the ivy grows, is their gravestone.
And the old widow goes to the stone every day.
And I grieve for the living. Like I'm dead and I'm grieving for the people who are still alive.
I never took it like that.
And that's why I love that song, because I think there are like 7 different ways you can read it.
Yeah. And like, because to me, it's also like, again, like not unrequited, but like, I can't help the way that I'm feeling about you, even though I probably shouldn't be because you're with someone else.
Right. Yeah. Like the love is just like inevitable. Like you don't have control over it.
Yes. Inevitable is a good word. And also just like the melody of the chorus is so like, is so beautiful.
I love the harmonies in that.
Yeah. I never thought about it being someone being dead.
I know, right?
There is a lot of talk about like dying though. Now that I'm like looking at the lyrics.
Well, and I was so relieved when I love the podcast, The Swiftie and the Scholar.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with them?
A little bit, yeah.
So yeah, they covered that song, and so it's Angela and then her uncle, who's a doctorate of like literary fiction and poetry and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he analyzes Taylor's songs as poems before hearing them. And they did Ivy, and he was like, I don't know what this is about.
I don't know about this.
He was like, this is so ambiguous. Like there are so many different options for how to read this. And even he was like, I don't have a conclusion. I was like, thanks.
That is so funny.
I'm not alone. So even
is there
Uncle
an ice
Jerry
cream truck outside your house?
Yes. This happens all the time.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of like, and the old widow goes to the stone every day. I just sit here and wait, grieving for the living.
Yeah. But then you could also read that as like,
I'd live and die for moments that we stole. Like there's a lot of death. A lot of death in this song.
Like the old widow goes to the stone, you could just be saying like, normally people who are grieving, like a widow, go to a stone and grieve the dead. But I'm here in life grieving someone who's alive because I can't have them. But or they could be dead grieving the living.
Right.
Like I'm over here sitting as a gravestone and some widow's grieving at that stone. And I'm just here dead grieving for someone who's alive. I don't know.
Fascinating. Yeah, I just always was like, oh, I'm grieving for the living because I'm grieving this thing this person I can't have.
Yeah.
The fatal flaw that makes you long to be.
Yeah. So there is a lot of death. So who knows?
This song is so good. I want to listen to it again. I love it so much.
Well, let me know if after a few more listens, you're like, wait, I think they're dead.
Wait, is someone dead?
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Yeah. What song? Wait, hold on. Going back to the Eras Tour in Ivy, are you picturing it like Champagne Problem style, or do you want it like My Tears Ricocheted or like Illicit Affairs, like amped up and theatrical and whatever.
Yes, the latter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually, for some reason, every time I think about this, because I have thought about this a lot, I always picture it like the way that Tortured Poets was done, like super like aggressive for some reason, even though that is not how that song is to me. I'm just like,
right.
It deserves that treatment.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
What happens if you just call Taylor up?
Right.
Just call her up.
Right.
Just ask her, please.
I feel like instead of the Evermore Long Pond studio sessions, I want Evermore rock version.
Yes, exactly.
Like, let's just do that. Let's try that. See what happens.
Yes.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be awesome. I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, what song do you want a 10-minute version of?
I think I would love a 10-minute, like, would've, could've, should've. Would've, should've, could've.
Would've, could've, should've.
Would've, whatever. That, or like a 10-minute, something on Reputation, like something that she's going to spill a little tea.
Yeah. That's
I want to hear some gossip.
Yeah, because would've, could've, should've has like, you know how the 10-minute version of All Too Well has a lot more anger in it than the original?
Right.
Would've, could've, should've already has that anger. So if she like leans into it.
Right. I just want more details.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I want.
Intense. That's one of my favorite songs. So
mine too.
I'd be down for that. For sure. Okay. With her next album, TS13, what are you hoping to get from her? Obviously not Showgirl. Like sound wise.
Not Showgirl.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, is there a certain vibe that you're hoping for?
No. The thing is, like, I always want her to make what she wants to make. So I want it to be what she wants it to be.
Yeah.
I just want it to be something that I like.
Right.
But I mean, it's going to be TS13, so it's going to be something.
Right.
I mean, it's like, I want to be like, oh, it's going to be something like really great. But I do think she treats all of her records like that. They're all something really great. It's not ever like, an afterthought.
Right.
Nothing about a record release or her public persona in general is an afterthought or a coincidence. And so I don't think that this would be any different. But maybe I want it to just be like heavier songwriting or just like more like how we were talking about, like this one didn't make me think, or Showgirl didn't make me think quite as much.
Yeah.
I wanted to make me think. I don't, even if like the production and like the music of Showgirl, I don't mind. Like, I like it. I just want the lyrics to be more complex. And so even if it was the same as that, as long as the lyrics were sort of, but that's just like me personally. I'm sure some people, Showgirl's their favorite, you know? So I just want her to be happy.
That's the right answer.
I want my friend Taylor to be happy.
Yeah. Is there anything else Taylor related you wanted to touch on?
I want to ask her about, like, okay, I think the interview that she just did with, was it Vanity
New York
Fair?
Times?
New York Times.
Yeah.
I am so perplexed by her being like, oh, people are trying to figure out like who this is about. And I just want to be like, you made us do that. Like, what do you want then? I thought this was like our little thing that we all did. And I'm like,
that was our thing, Taylor.
And now I'm like, wait, you're mad? You're mad about our thing? I thought we were all on the same page.
Okay, so I was also, first of all, I felt called out because, I mean, like 99% of us Swifties, I love to do that. I think it's, first of all, it's part of the fun. Let's be honest. It's part of the fun. But also, like Laura and I have talked about this, for us, I feel like it plays a lot into the context of the song. Like, as we're trying to interpret her lyrics, we can say, okay, well, if this is referencing this relationship, this might be what she means by that from what we know of it. Like, it's not necessarily like, oh my God, this song's about so-and-so. It's like, we're trying to really figure out what she's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And we know a lot about her life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think I will always talk about who her songs are about. But
Right.
also, like you said, like, I'm sorry, but the girl who used to write men's names as the secret message, I don't think she really cares that we do that. Also, girl, you wouldn't be giving us so many clues as to who you're talking about if you didn't
Right.
want us. So I think I've seen a couple takes on this online. And I think what she said was that people are always going to do that, right? They're always going to try to figure out who the song's about. But she said, but where it gets weird is when it becomes a paternity test.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I thought was strange because then she says, that guy didn't write that song. I did. And I was like, well, that seems odd to me because by trying to figure out who this song is about, we're not saying that he wrote the song.
No.
But that's the thing. Some people are. When it comes to like Showgirl, right? People
Mm-hmm.
who are dissatisfied with Showgirl are like, well, basically Folklore and Evermore and stuff were so good because of Joe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either just him being the muse,
Right.
like as if him just being around made her song better.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also people who think that the songs that Joe is credited on, that he basically wrote that song and that's why it's good.
Yeah.
So some people think that she might actually be referring to that specific corner of the
That makes
internet.
sense. Yeah.
That she's like, that's weird. He
Yeah.
didn't write the song. I did.
Right.
So like who the song is about doesn't play into whether or not this song is good. You know what I mean?
And also, like, when you think about All Too Well, like, it's so heavily associated with Jake Gyllenhaal, obviously.
Mhm. Right.
But I feel like I've seen people be like, I'm paraphrasing, but like, oh, the only thing he ever did was give us All Too Well. And it's like, well, he didn't give us that. She did.
Yes.
So maybe it's just more like
that kind of
stop, like,
yeah.
It's still my song.
Yeah.
Like, don't give him the credit.
The credit for it. And I think that's why her saying it paternity test is interesting because it's kind of saying like this person fathered that song.
Right. Like they're responsible for it.
They're one of the parental units of this song.
Right.
When that's not, he was not that involved.
Right. Yeah. Which does make sense. And now that we're like talking about it out loud, I'm like, okay, yeah, I do get that. But I feel like maybe it was just the way she said it. Like, oh, who's this about? I'm like, that was you, girl.
Right.
That was you, girl.
Yeah. I mean, Jehovah's Witness suit and like.
Right. Like
tattooed
there is
golden
nothing.
Retriever.
There's nothing about her that is by accident or not carefully thought through. Like we know what she wants us to know, and we do not know if she doesn't want us to know things. So the fact that she puts those things in, it's like you want us to guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
and
maybe it was just
fun for us too.
Right. And I wonder if maybe it was just like a little bit of like it backfiring a little.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, okay, stop talking about him. Like it's not about him. It's about me and what I did.
Yeah.
But
and that's why like I find it really hard to believe that she actually cares that we think about and talk about who the songs are about. Because I mean, she put New Heights in a song on Showgirl.
Right.
You know, like she's not shy about this stuff. So I really, and of course it helps my life if she doesn't care about that. But I think it makes sense that she would only care if people are crediting that man for the success of the song.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether literally saying that he wrote it in the case of Joe for some people, or saying like, oh, her Travis songs are bad and like she should go back to being with Harry Styles because then her songs are so
she
good.
got better. Like, she made better music when she was with so-and-so.
Right. As if like that man has something to do with her.
Correct. Songs. She's like, no, I was like institutionalized.
Right.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm choosing to believe because
I
it
think
makes me
that's
feel
probably
better
right.
about myself.
Yes, I agree. Right.
And
I
I
agree.
think that does make the most sense. So
I agree. Yeah.
But she like it's the kind of thing she can't come outright and say.
Right.
So I think that was her most direct way of saying it.
I also think now we're really getting into it. Like, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think the thing with Karlie Kloss is so crazy. I do not doubt that, like, I could be convinced that something happened, but
Yeah.
I think people need to, like, relax a little. It's, like, creepy, the level that people take that. Like, it's such an invasion of her life to me. Like, that situation specifically, just because so much of it is just subjective, I guess.
Which part is subjective, do you mean?
Just like the details of like the fact that they dated at all.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
When she's direct about a man in her songs, like the Jehovah's Witness suit, that's enough for me to be like, okay, we can talk about Matty Healy about this song. But like, I think so much of the whole thing about her and Karlie Kloss is like so subjective that I'm like, you're just making things up now. Like, this is just what you want to have happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think like the Gaylor community in general has like really lost the plot.
Thank you. They've lost the plot. That's what yeah, that's it.
The plot. Yeah. I think my thing with the Karlie Kloss thing is I find it to be for me, a fun and interesting conspiracy.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Like I could be convinced. I sort of am convinced. But like,
yeah.
Oh my God, relax.
And I think like the reason it's so like juicy and interesting is like they clearly had such a strong relationship, like friendship, connection, whatever. And then clearly had like a breakup.
Yeah.
You know? So like there's something juicy there in general.
Totally.
But then it's like, yeah, if you want to convince me of certain songs about that, I'll hear you out.
Right. Totally.
But I would never sit here and be like, she absolutely dated Karlie Kloss and like this is what happened, whatever. But like as like, especially like if Laura and I are like we talked about like Maroon on our Patreon, and like we talked about the Karlie Kloss of it all, because like that is one way you can read it. But like it doesn't mean that it's true. You know what I mean?
I think it's also like people, maybe even like just the like discourse that I see on Twitter of just like really like intimate things that people are talking about. And I'm like, you don't even know that that's true. And you're just like putting that on the internet, talking about this like it's fact. Like, I wish I had like screenshotted like things I've seen, but just like intimately discussing details that they think are true of her life that just feel like such an invasion of like privacy almost. Because if she gives you information, I think to me that's fair game to be discussed.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like she ever directly gave that information or like specifics, and people have just decided that it's fact. Right. And that just feels so like yucky from Taylor's perspective, to have people talking about your life like that, like they know. Yeah. I mean, you could say that about anything really about her, but like, especially that is like obviously something she doesn't talk about or reference, or maybe never happened at all. And people just talk about it so like intimately that it just like feels yucky. I'm just like, you don't even know that that's real, and you're saying all these things, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like the only other like Gaylor thing that I sign on to, and I guess I wouldn't even necessarily call this a Gaylor thing, but just reading her songs through a queer lens is interesting.
Yeah.
And actually like from listening to the Swiftie and the Scholar podcast, like he talked about various like critical theories. God, what did he call it? Like different ways to critique poetry. And like, for example, there's like feminist theory. So you're just reading it through like a feminist lens. It doesn't mean that that's like what it was about, but like you can pull out things that tie it into like feminism or whatever, or the way that a lot of us interact with Taylor's work would be called like reader response theory. Like, how does the song make me feel?
Yeah.
So that's a valid critique. And then there's also queer theory. So you could take a poem and read it through a queer lens. And like as that kind of exercise, I think it's interesting. And especially when like queer people do relate to her songs in that way, to hear how they're hearing it is very cool. And again, it doesn't mean that Taylor intended it to be that way.
Right. And
but,
I think it's even less about, maybe I'm even talking about less about people's interpretations of songs and just like people talking about her.
Right. Like people,
do you know what I mean?
Talking like she dated Karlie Kloss, like it's facts.
Yeah. And just like, oh, she's upset because, like, I remember reading something about like, she's upset because Karlie, I mean, you could stop there really. Like, you don't know that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't know. But then it gets so like, I've seen like really like sexually charged posts about it. And it's just like gross. Do you know what I mean? Just like, you don't have to go there really. Even, but like, I would say the same thing if we were talking about a man, that she never like, if it was all just like a conspiracy of like whether or not something happened, I would say the same thing. It's just like, she tells you what she wants you to know. And I think that that's a boundary that she sets.
Yeah.
And I think that people take it too far beyond that boundary sometimes, because she's obviously giving you intimate details about her life.
Right.
And so like, great. And that's fair game. But when she doesn't, I don't think it's fair to like analyze it to that level.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that makes total sense.
And also there's a song on Fearless, I think, that was about like her fiddle player, or do you know what I'm talking about? She was like, hang on, I'm going to Google it. She was friends with her. Emily was a fiddle player during her debut and early Fearless eras from 2006 to 2007. But there's a song.
Yeah, which song on Fearless?
Many fans speculate the song Breathe from the Fearless album was written about her fallout of her friendship with Emily, though it was never officially confirmed by Taylor.
Oh, okay.
And that too, I've read a lot about how people thought they were dating. And it was like,
oh, I think I've seen some of that.
A breakup song, or like, it was about their relationship. And so maybe she just writes like that about her friends, which, you know?
Right. I always read Breathe as being about a friendship though, but maybe because I also read or heard that it was about a friendship. So I've just always read it like as a non-romantic situation.
Right. I feel like that's been like a long-standing theory about that song. Like I remember being on the school bus and like having that information and thinking about it as I was listening to it on the school bus. But yeah, and like again, like maybe there was a level of romance there and maybe there wasn't. Maybe she just feels very passionately about her friends, you know, like obviously female friendships are extremely important to her. And so going through like a friendship breakup is sometimes more devastating than a relationship breakup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so maybe it's just like she writes like that about her friends too.
Right. Yeah. Could be.
Don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. To wrap up, who is another artist you're enjoying a lot right now that you think other Swifties would appreciate?
Unfortunately, my only answer is Noah Kahan.
Yeah.
Which I know, I'm sure everybody else said that. And I know you talked about it already.
Yeah.
I'm only listening to Noah Kahan.
No, and like hearing you say that you are very much a lyrics person, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad she's diving into Noah right now because especially his new album, like, well, in Stick Season 2. So you got to work backwards and go to
I know, I have to go
Stick
back.
Season.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot there.
It's so, it just like scratches an itch in my brain, like that type of writing, and like just the way it makes you like, you hear it,
Yeah.
and then later you're like, oh, that's what that means.
Yeah.
I just love it. Yeah.
Well, and let me pull up. There was a lyric that you made me think of earlier. The lyric from Jump Then Fall that you liked about your laugh is like the greatest thing I've ever heard or whatever. One of my favorite lyrics by him is, I am no longer funny because I miss the way you laugh.
Oh, see?
Yeah, I know.
That's so nice and
Yeah.
sad.
I know. Isn't that devastating? It's like, yeah, I'm not going to be
He's
funny
like, I'm
anymore
not gonna be
because
funny.
I don't want anyone else to laugh and you're not here to laugh. So
Right.
it's not
What's
going to
the
be funny.
point? Yes, I
Right.
love that.
It's not so good.
I didn't really know anything about him before this album came out, and the first time I listened to it, I was like, who hurt this man? Is he okay?
He's not okay.
He's not okay.
And I think he's been hurt by his own brain mostly. But
Yeah. But I'm really sorry, Noah, but also thank you for this.
I know. It's so good.
So good. My coworker and I, the other day, we park in the same garage that's like small. And we pulled in like one behind the other, and we were both listening to American Cars. It's like I was playing it, and I turned it down before I turned the car off, and I opened my car door, and hers was still playing. And I was just like, we were both listening to that, and every day we're both only listening to him.
Here's a little niche thing that you might also agree with me on. The end of Dashboard, it ends on like an organ note. And I'm always expecting the song from the final credits of Heated Rivalry to start playing, because that's how that song starts.
Oh my God, wait, I have to listen to it. Yes, I see it now. I did not think of that before, but I do see it now. That's so funny.
Yeah. I don't know if
that.
it's even like the same note or it's just that organ sound.
Yeah.
But I was like, ooh, Shane and Ilya driving away.
Let's do a Heated Rivalry podcast next.
Oh my God.
They have so much to say.
Oh my God. Actually, that's a good idea. Like you and I could do like a Heated Rivalry, like which Taylor songs like apply to different characters or situations or whatever. Something I keep in mind.
We totally could.
Yeah.
I made Brian, I don't know if I told you, I made Brian watch it with me.
Yeah.
And
did he make it through the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a rough start. He's like, what are we watching?
Right.
I was like, just
trust. You have to trust.
Trust. And by the time he loved, oh my God, Kip and what the fuck's that
Scott.
Thank you. He loved them. He loved that episode. He's like, that's my favorite episode. I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like you're missing the point here, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But then we got to the end and he's like, oh, it was really good. And I'm like watching it for the third time, having a meltdown on the couch. He's like, oh yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having heart palpitations. But
didn't you watch Off Campus this weekend, or you started it or something?
I did start it. I think what did I tell you? I watched the first 4 episodes. No. Are there 8 episodes?
Yeah.
Okay, then I watched 6. And then I watched 6. I haven't finished it yet. I haven't had time, but I feel like people were like really hyping it. And I thought I was getting another Heated Rivalry.
Yeah. And I told you, because you were like, you thought it was going to be life-changing, like Heated Rivalry. And I was like, no, it's not like that. It's just like really juicy and fun and you sort of like gobble it up.
Yeah, I did really like it. My friend Karen was like, oh my God, if you like, it's a hockey show. I know you love Heated Rivalry. And I was like, say no more. I watch it. So I feel like my expectations were a little off balance.
Yeah. Very different shows, honestly.
Yeah.
And there's like 3 or 4 different romance book series that have to do with hockey.
That's crazy. No, I did not know
that. Because there's Heated Rivalry and then Off Campus. And then there's like at least 2 more. Because I was at Barnes & Noble this weekend And they had like a whole section for these like sporty, like romance books.
Interesting.
And there were at least
Isn't
two
there
other
one called
series.
Icebreakers?
That's probably one of them. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know anything about it, but I always see the cover. Yes, Icebreaker. I always see that book at Barnes & Noble.
And the NHL should be like paying these
Literally
authors at this point.
And be nicer to gay people.
True. Yeah.
Like,
in general.
Please. Look what you could be having. Think about all the girls who come to your games.
Right.
Although I'm pretty sure they're already all there.
Yeah. Well,
That's
of
funny.
the off-campus boys, which one are you crushing on the hardest?
I actually, this is a bad answer. I actually was like wondering about all of them because I thought they were all kind of ugly except for the main guy, whatever his name is.
Garrett Graham. Yeah,
I was like,
my heart right now.
And then the way that she like is so oblivious to him being so in love with her. I'm like, girl, this man is so hot and so in love with you. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know.
But
I finished the series and then I took like a 1-day break to watch a movie that the actor who plays Garrett is in. And then I just rewatched Off Campus. So I think I watched it twice in like 1 week total. So
that's so funny. I just saw some girl say she's watched it 13 times. What?
Those people might have something wrong with them.
I'm like, yeah. Are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah. But I do like the rewatchability of it.
Yes.
Because
it's kind of like short.
Yeah. It's like your favorite like movie rom-com, but just like longer.
Yeah. Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I'm glad we got to chat about that.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join me and chat about Taylor. You do have like a fun TikTok presence and stuff. Do you want people to find you online?
Oh my God, sure. I actually don't even know wait, do I? What's my TikTok handle? When I started my TikTok, I was going to like be like a food person. Mm-hmm. And then I filmed one and I was like, this is so hard. I'm not doing this anymore. I was like, this is so like, I like was not even having fun making my pizza. I'm just like, this is so hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, don't say it because I have to change my thing. Because right now it's dinner in Lancaster because that was my plan. I was like, we're going to go to restaurants and we're going to review them and we're going to talk about. And now I'm like, fuck that. I'm not doing that.
Well, I can link to it in the show notes if you want. And then
that's fine.
If you change your handle, then people can still find it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll link to your TikTok.
Oh my God. I don't know how people do that. I'm just like, or like I would start making something and I'd get 3 steps in and be like, I forgot to record it. But I can't undo it. So now I just have to scrap it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in general, I feel like creating content for social media is like exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I used to have a food blog. And even now, like sometimes when I post things on my Instagram, I'm just like, oh God. It's just annoying. I don't know. I have this like mental block. It'll take like 2 minutes, but I'm just like, I don't want to.
I know. And that's when it's like, okay, then I should not be doing it because
right. Yeah.
I want to have fun. Yeah.
It's like I'll do a podcast. I'll do this. I'll put it on YouTube.
I'll blab all day long.
Just let it sit there, you know?
Yep.
But like to have like, I think it's the constant pressure to be like putting stuff out on social media that's just like, it's just too much. I got to draw the line somewhere.
Yep.
You know?
Especially because when you're like, especially on TikTok specifically, they say like, if you want to, get good engagement or whatever, you should be posting 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah. Like about what?
About what, dude? I'm not even home that long a day.
Yeah. Seriously.
Crazy.
Oh my God. All right. Well, with that, let's do our little outro.
Yay.
Here we go. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you'd like to support the pod, please give us a follow at Blank Plate Pod on TikTok and Instagram. And please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, which is where you can also find our reaction videos. If you'd like to get in touch, please reach out via email at blankplatepod@gmail.com. or you can text us or leave us a voicemail at 717-382-8313. If you're enchanted by what we're doing here, please consider supporting us on Patreon, which is where we do a monthly bonus episode focusing on Taylor's older songs. And until next time, we had the time of our lives with you, and you know it's time to go. And thanks again to Katie for being here. Bye.
Bye.